So we're going to talk a bit about prospecting and list building, which is the most aggressive tactic that we're using all the time, and it works well for us. So I'm going to start with something that worked out well. So I'm telling you the end results before I start. So this is an email. I'm going to read it out to you if you can't read it in the back. It says, hey, hi Joseph, I hope your week is going well. I saw on LinkedIn that you're with Dig, so we're naming a company, and I wanted to see if you had interest in learning more about Kiwi. So again, it's an example from Kiwi. We've shown a few examples from that company as well. We're already working with several publishers in your space, and let me know if you're interested. So this guy is the, I think director of audience development at that company. Then a couple of days later, we sent out an email saying, hey, basically, maybe you missed our email, just following up to see if you're interested in talking and learning more about how we can help a company like yours. And then hours later, we received this. Hi, Neta, thanks for following up. I had lost track of your email, and I'm happy to talk to you. All right, so this is just a quick example of a successful email conversation we had, or successful prospecting process that we had. So any thoughts on why did this specific thread work for us? Any thoughts?
No text, no bullshit.
Great, yeah. So and that's a great answer because there is no bullshit here. Of course, there's a ton of bullshit going on. But it's not really bullshit. This is exactly what people want to see. So you can't see anything here. I'm going to just go over that. So this is the right guy for us. All right, he's in the right position. He's in the right company. We're naming the guy and the company here. We're referring to other companies in their space. We're including a lot of social proof, both in the signature and in the title, in the subject. It is short and to the point. We just do one follow-up. We're not spamming these people. And it just worked for us. So, so this is where we are. This is what we're going to be talking about. How do I reach my audience? How can I find the right person at the right company? And how do I start a conversation? And what we're saying is that prospecting or cold email outreach can help with that. So this is an example of how not to do it. And I'm not going to dwell on it because I don't want to throw mud at anyone. But this is the 5th email I received in 2 weeks from that person. So we went to a trade show where I scanned my badge to get their giveaway. And since then, I've been getting emails from that person. And this is pretty much it's the 5th or 6th email in this series. I didn't respond to any of those. And it just, this is what I got. So any thoughts on why, except for the fact that this is the 5th email, why did this not work as well as our email thread?
She says she's bothering you, and she requires you to work, to answer questions.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a negative here, which we try not to use. There's no personalization. She uses my name, but that's, it doesn't refer to what I'm doing. She's not in the right position herself. She's an assistant. She's not the VP of marketing like we stand, or the VP of sales in some cases. And there's nothing here to create any engagement.
There's no what's in it for me.
Yeah, that's right. There's no engagement. There's no what's in it for me. And frankly, it's the 5th email. I mean, on the 6th one, I just answered. I responded. I enjoyed myself for a few minutes. And I never heard from her again. So that's fine. So before we start talking about how to aggressively use cold email outreach, some people may have different thoughts on why not to do it internally. So we're calling it ethical considerations. There's also regulatory considerations here as well. So you may say, all right, but buying lists is not good, right? That's not the way to do it. It's not ethical. Or this will be considered spam by our audience. Or shouldn't just all come inbound, or we have people who are doing lead gen. They're going all over, they're finding people. Why should we do this? So we're going to answer this. We just answered it with a good example of how it works, but we're going to just acknowledge the fact that for some companies or for some people, this does not feel right. We believe in this process very much. So we want to put this out there and then continue with our playbooks.
Can I just ask a question? What's your response rate to that email? Your positive response rate?
In Kiwi?
The one that you showed us.
Yeah, so I mean, it's as Neta said before, it's on par with other forms of sales and marketing. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm sorry about that, but it's doing well. We've been doing it for years now, and it's doing well for us.
Later on, there are some numbers. We're going to show more examples in Kiwi, and we have some numbers, but it really varies. It varies a lot.
Yeah, and that's part of the playbook. We're going to talk about the process itself of how we're building these lists and the thought process that goes into it. So in some cases, we're going to test out something that's completely different than what we did before, and it really varies. Yeah, sure.
How many follow-ups would you? Because 2 you said was good, and then Jessica you said was bad. She was at like 5 follow-ups. So what do you think the ideal number of?
So we believe in 2.
5 follow-ups in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we believe in 1 follow-up. So sometimes we'll do 2, and it depends on our goal. So if it's like a trade show that we want to get a ton of meetings to, we'll do 2, like 1 follow-up and maybe a second one with a select group of people. We've worked with sales reps that do 5, but they do it differently. They don't do in a very short period of time. They try to do one called email, then a phone call, which we don't usually do. I'm not talking about phone calls in this particular conversation. But our magic number is 1 follow-up for our standard emails.
And this is only for cold, like totally cold leads?
Yep. I mean, that's the examples that we're showing here. You can use a version of that with your existing leads, but it's different then. You'll have to be much more personalized. We're actually making sure that we're not stepping on any existing conversations with our emails. So let's talk about GDPR just for a few minutes. I mean, I'm not going to delve into it. By the way, you're late. If you didn't do anything about GDPR by now, please do. So this regulation went into effect on Friday. What we decided to do with basically all of the companies that we work with, and this is what we recommend doing, is make sure that your website is where it should be, so no cookies unless people opt into cookies, and an opt-in checkbox for visitors from the EU. You don't need this checkbox outside of the EU, so don't include it, because as soon as you have an opt-in, you're going to lose a massive amount, a massive percentage of your audience. So just do it in the EU. And then we decided just not doing what I'm showing here, for now at least, in the EU. So no active list building in the EU. We excised a lot of our contacts from our mailing list. We unsubscribed them. I didn't delete them, but we're not using them. We're not contacting them anymore. And once the dust settles, we may find new ways to do that. But for now, just don't use contacts that you know. Do the old-fashioned lead gen in the EU right now. And we are not lawyers, so it's just, I know, obviously, it's just a tip. Make sure that you're covered. The penalties on GDPR just seem to be excessive, so to make sure that you're covered going forward with that. So what's the process that we're talking about? Basically, we're doing an ongoing process of list building. This is the best case scenario. Sometimes it's a one-time project. It's a trade show or something that we'll do for a week or 2, and that's it. But an ongoing process looks something like this. First, you define a target persona. Then you build a list. Then you send content. Very, very simple. Then you refine the target persona and do it all over again. And if you can do it on an ongoing basis, you can create a massive database of potential contacts, potential leads that you can reach out to. Neta mentioned Kiwi growing from a database of 2,000 people to 30,000 people. A lot of it is using this type of process. So has anyone here done any active list building? I assume that you did. Did anyone use any tools, any specific tools to create their lists?
Sales Navigator?
Sales Navigator? Mm-hmm.
Countries.
Any other tools? Did anyone buy lists?
Nope.
Okay.
I used to buy lists from, I think it was every country had their own like government kind of thing I could buy, and then I just went to what's the name? Dun and Bradstreet,
Mm-hmm.
and they just sold me this.
Yeah. So we've bought lists. We're not against it. They're just pros and cons. We've used several tools. We're going to focus on specifically on using Upwork here. But there are tools that you should know about and be able to use. First of all, and you can't overemphasize this, use your personal contacts. So build your initial contact list based on people that you know or people who know people that you know. Use your partners and investors. We're here at ScaleUp. Use every tool, every contact that you have to open doors. And then you can use commercial services. So you can sign up to something like Discover.org or ETL Insights, or just buy lists. You can approach government databases, as you mentioned, or research companies, and so on, and get lists from there. You're not going to be the only one who has those lists, though. So that's an obstacle. So we're going to be talking about building those lists ourselves using Upwork. If you don't know it, Upwork.com. This is our not-so-secret sauce to increasing the size of your team's output. So if you don't know Upwork, Upwork is a marketplace for freelancers. And we're using it to do any number of things, mostly list building, but a ton of other tasks as well. It can help you grow a team very, very quickly without a lot of commitment. So you can use flexible spending, use people when you need them, don't use them when you don't need them. It's budget friendly. We're paying a lot of our workers, we're paying $5 an hour after researching and finding that this is a fair wage in the countries that they are working at. When we use people in Europe or the US, we're paying more for that. Of course, you have a team that's basically or virtually available 24/7, depending on where you hire them and where they are. And we use it for list building and graphic design. We use it for data entry and transcoding, and we've used it for many other things before. However, it's very simple to use, but to actually build a marketing team using Upwork, you need to work for at least a little bit. So you need to find the right people. This is like hiring a full-time employee, even though you're hiring someone that you've never met and you're mostly likely not going to meet or even talk to on the phone. They are going to be working with you for a while, so you need to you need to hire them. You need to figure out if they're the right people for you, both personally and, most importantly, technically or professionally. You do need to keep a close watch. It's not usually a send and forget type of situation. So you will need to make sure that the work is done well, at least for the first couple of rounds of work that you're doing with these people. And then establish trust. So you can start sending over tasks on a weekly or monthly or whatever basis to the same people. Build a team of the same people that you can reach out to. Keep the best people. Don't keep the others. Be cool about it, but they're still employees. So, you just need to keep the right people. And build your own expanded universe. So even if you don't hire or employ 5 people, 24/7, you can still reach out to them when you need something else to do. So it's good to know a few people. We have, I think we have about 20 people now among all of our different contracts that we're happy to work with all the time, and we're getting good results. So what have we done with Upwork? Let's do some case studies. The first case study is a company where we started from scratch. The prospecting process was started from scratch, and that's Equalum, which we mentioned before. So the first steps were to define the target persona. We didn't do this exercise before, but basically what you do is define the companies that you want to reach out to, and then the type of people at those companies that you want to reach out to. So in this case, we had manufacturers at a certain size, and then a ton of titles that have to do with data. This is a data ingestion company. So this is what we had. We defined the seniority, the geographical locations. We get a few examples as well. And this is something that we just sent as instructions to our workers. And by the way, we kept defining this, refining this as the process moved on. But for our example, this is where we started. So first, we had an existing subscription to Discover.org, which is pretty expensive, by the way. It's a pretty expensive service. But we had a subscription set up before we joined the company. So we did this same search, this exact same search on Discover.org. And our coverage plan only showed 220 people at 80 companies. And we said manufacturers, like this is a pretty wide industry. It's pretty vague and pretty wide. And it's, we only got 220 people. This is how it looks like. So you can see even here, all of the people that we don't have the LinkedIn for are people that aren't in our sorry, these are actually the people that we have access to. But the actual number of people that we could have reached just with this search on Discover.org would have been 3,200 more people than we've seen. And we can see the names of all those people, by the way, which is pretty cool for us when we have this Upwork system set up. So we saw this, we said, all right, first of all, let's cancel the subscription as soon as it's over. It's an annual subscription, so we terminated it as soon as we could because it's no help, or it's very little help. We did extract all of the company names from Discover.org as our first step. So we have a few thousand manufacturers that we have the names for, so we don't have to do any research ourselves. For now, we can always do research and find more companies. We hired one Upworker who works 40 hours a week, so it's $200. And we've produced 400 to 500 new contacts a week since then. We actually expanded this to 2 workers later on. Sorry?
What does he do?
So how does he do what he does? First, we gave him the names of the people who were on Discover.org that we didn't have access to. So we know the names, but we don't know the emails. And so we know that they fit our criteria. So just found the emails. To do that, they basically guess the email format of that company and then validate this email using various tools. When we do an open search, they'll just go through LinkedIn. They have the names of the companies. So for instance, if you're looking for someone who works at Microsoft, they'll search Microsoft and then filter by the titles that we're looking for, find those people. They all have professional LinkedIn accounts, find those people, and then repeat the same process of guessing the email, basically guessing the email and validating it. It's a lot of manual labor, basically. But we're getting a very nice hit rate of those. So we don't have a lot of bounces. We're getting pretty decent results in terms of the validity of the emails that they find.
But is it legit?
Sure. It's public information. I mean, the name is on LinkedIn. The email is guesswork. We're not doing anything that's not allowed. We're not even emailing those people until, the Upworkers are not emailing the people, just finding their emails. Sure.
What was did you try LinkedIn Sales Navigator versus Discover.org?
Yeah, sure. So every type of tool that gives you access to existing lists or more information and is accessible by other people, you're going to end up with, especially if you're shooting for like directors, VPs, higher ups, you're going to just have a bunch of people that everybody's trying to contact. Plus, we find, and it's very industry specific, but in many of the industries that we work in, and I'm sure that many of the industries that you guys work in, there's a lot of churn. There's a lot of turnover. And people on those lists may not be at those companies anymore. Even if you have, like DiscoverOrg say that they update their database every month, they're not updating 500,000 contacts every month. That just doesn't happen. So it's good to use. I mean, if you have the budget, it's very nice. It's very easy to use those lists, but you may not find all the perfect people for you. So it's a matter of, it's a numbers game.
So the advantage of DiscoverOrg over Salesforce, LinkedIn.
Well, first it's cheaper. I mean, it depends on how you use it, but it is cheaper. You get good results, and you get people that some people may not. I mean, other people may not have as readily available. This information.
Just to clarify, we use DiscoverOrg because this company happens to
Yeah.
we don't recommend it. We stopped using it pretty much immediately. What we recommend is using Upwork. Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I used it as well. It's really expensive and you need to do the work. This is all about outsourcing almost everything in terms of list building.
So you can just give you will still need to do some of the work, like giving them, I don't know, the companies you want to go after.
Oh yeah, sure.
company name.
Sure. So here, in this specific example, we had DiscoverOrg, so we just exported the list of companies. In other places, we will create those lists. We can outsource the list creation process as well if we have a good definition of what we're looking for. So if we worked with media companies, and we wanted the names of all of the top media companies at a certain country, that's an easy task to outsource. Although I think I did that one myself, but I mean it would have been an easy task to outsource. But in general, yeah, you need to create the skeleton, the list of companies for the app workers to work with, or at least a definition of that.
What services do you use for validating the email?
Well, we don't use the services. That's the app workers.
No, the app workers, but there are tools
I honestly, I mean, they showed me screenshots, but I honestly don't know which tools they use. They just come up with good results.
Hunter? Yeah.
What's your bounce rate on that?
So it's not, I mean, it's about 10%, which is, it's decent, yeah. And it's long, I mean, if it goes up, we just hold them to it. We tell them, no, you need to fix this. So I mean, they're committed to their work and take very good, a lot of pride in what they do. And if something goes wrong, we work with people who will fix anything that goes wrong, but it usually doesn't. We have, we keep a very good ratio on what we're getting. Yeah.
Just these guys doing the research and kind of aggregating the data, or contacting the person itself?
Oh no, we're doing the contact.
Okay, so they just.
So in this company, sales are doing the contact. In some companies, marketing is doing the contact. But the app workers are not. They don't have visibility into what we actually do. They just create those lists for us.
And how do you prevent duplications? Because if you have two people working and they're going to give you the same names, or you already have those people in your database, how do you deal with that?
Well, you'll get some of those. If you keep doing it for years, you'll get some of those. But I manage who gets what list. So if I'm working with two people, each one is getting a different list. In other places where we had a larger team, we actually assigned an app worker to be the team leader. And the team leader received the full list, and then he split it up between the other people. So it's there. Plus, I mean, we're paying about 50 cents an email. So, as long as we're not duplicating 100% of what we're doing, that's it's passable.
We did a trick. We split the companies by state. So each app worker took a state and did the mapping for that state. This way,
Yeah, I mean, there's ways. I usually do that alphabetically.
My master list. I don't know. I want to see if anyone else does the same thing. But I've been using a guy also.
And by the way, I cheat because I also use Mailchimp. When I import, Mailchimp catches duplicates. So I may have found duplicates on Upwork, but I'm not emailing anyone twice or something. Yeah.
Regarding the previous session, are you also using Upwork for all the industry reading that I mentioned before, or is that your team?
On
the industry, you mentioned all the emails that they put in industry.
Oh yeah, we're using Upwork at Kiwi. Nessa is going to show it in our third case study. But we are using, I mean, to find those people, those emails. I mean, if it's 10 people, we can usually find them ourselves very quickly. But if it's 100 people or 200 people or 20 companies that we want to find people at, we're using Upwork for that. I mean, I would use Upwork to do my laundry if I could right now. It's addictive. So a funnel. Hey, look, a funnel. So this is the first 2.5 weeks of work. And this is a company where they have a very long sales cycle and relatively small number of clients at any one time. So we spent $500. We found 1,000 emails. We only sent 500 on those 2 weeks. And we got 4 sales opportunities on the books. So, I mean, this is pretty decent. This was a company that took a long time to get sales opportunities. So the cost per opportunity is $125 in this case. As we mentioned before, the ACV is critical. This is a company with a large ACV or a relatively large ACV. And we've kept doing this since then. Of course. I just wanted to show the... Sorry?
You use Marketo?
No, we use MailChimp, actually.
Oh, MailChimp.
Yeah. I mean, the sales team uses Outreach, which is a platform that I don't enjoy and don't recommend, but yeah, there's a platform there as well. So we kept doing this. We expanded the team. We're keeping similar numbers. We're not getting 4 sales opportunities a week of list building, but it has proven its worth. We actually doubled the size of the team, so we're producing about, I guess it's about 3,000 emails a month, and it's doing pretty well. So I'm moving on to the second case study, which I really like, but I'm going to hurry through it. So this is Endor. It's another company that we work with, and this is an example of conference list building. We wanted to set in-person meetings at a trade show that the company was at. The company was actually speaking at an event, demoing at this event. This is a predictive analytics company, and everybody was getting the same attendee list at a specific point before the show, very close to the show actually. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks before the show. So we had like a military operation here. We made sure that everything is ready ahead of time, all right? So we knew that we're going to get the list on a certain week. We didn't know the exact day, but we knew that it's going to be ready. So we had the app workers in place. We had our email templates in place as well. And we were set. We got the lists at 0 hour, and then we had to clean it. We had to keep only the people that are relevant to us to make sure that things are efficient. So that was a process. That was 2 hours of filtering those lists. Again, I did this myself. You can get help for this as well, but those processes do require the eyes of someone who knows the business. It's not an outsourceable task. And then with 600 contacts left, we sent this to Upwork. Within 24 hours, we got everything that they could find. They couldn't find everyone. That's always the case. We sent out 480 emails, and we handled the answers manually. So that was on us. And then 2 days later, or 3 days later, we sent out excuse me, follow-up emails to the people. Now, I'm just showing you how I built this. This is in MailChimp. If you don't know the plain text mode in MailChimp, it's not 100% like an email that you send yourself, but it does look like it. There's just an unsubscribe link at the bottom. But it is customizable, and it looks like a personal email. So we sent this invite. It was very blunt. Starting with, we wanted to see if you were interested in meeting us. And then, look, this is us, and this is why we're good for you. Plus social proof, and this came from Neta. And the follow-up looked like this, very similar to the follow-up that we saw to start this session. So we know it's a busy time for you, maybe you missed it, and you'd be surprised at how many people responded to this saying, yeah, we missed it, I'm sorry. People actually apologized to us for approaching them. Sure.
Do you use your domain in this email, or you use
Yeah, it's the reply to is us. I mean, MailChimp does something with the outgoing email, but the reply to is us, always.
And did it look like an actual email from MailChimp, which is like centralized?
No, this is, so if you use the plain text mode, it looks like a standard email that you type yourself. It looks very, very similar to a standard email.
Gartner told us we're not allowed to put Gartner Cool Vendor in our email signature.
Well,
Find a way around it, because I'd also like to do that, and I see you guys have done that.
well, better to be sorry than safe, right? In some cases. Again, don't do it with GDPR, but yeah, we
You don't care what Gartner says.
we do care, but to a certain extent. So I think,
We did it because we saw a lot of other
Yeah.
companies.
I'm sorry?
We saw a lot of other startups put in the Gartner name in a lot of places, so we decided to ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
No, you've done an interesting, because they say specific, very specific in your email signature, and that's maybe not your email signature because it's new.
Right.
I don't know if that's how you guys justified it.
well, I can say it's not a signature because I sent it from MailChimp. It's not, it's not encoded as a signature. But yeah, no, we knew that if they say something, we'll say we're sorry and stop doing it, but we didn't do it. And it helped, of course, because Cool Vendor does speak to a lot of people.
But I also like to say that this is more of a less, this is B2B.
Yeah.
So it's more, I think, people are expected to be approached and they want to approach too. So it's
Well, we work with B2B companies,
with respect
mostly.
to GDPR, I'm saying. Still, there's a difference between
Yeah, well,
working on a list of 1 million people and then working on a list of 500 people who at the end of the day still there to be contacted in a way. I mean,
I still wouldn't do cold outreach to people in the EU.
all right.
Even having said that, I would not do it right now. But your mileage may vary. So this is how it looks in the inbox. By the way, we used this subject line, which Neta really likes, and I've grown to like. I'm more verbose, but this works well. And people responded.
I-plus meeting?
Seriously, this is what we've.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, we need to come up with different subjects for this year's round because people will recognize it. But yeah, this is. Yeah. So yeah, if you have any ideas, let us know. So this is what it looked like, and I sent it to myself. So it's, I really enjoyed the meeting at the booth with myself, but we got responses, and not one and not two. We got a ton of responses. So and those are very good responses. We set up out of 1,100 attendees. And only about 600 emails were relevant. The numbers don't match, but 600 is the right number. We got 32 pre-scheduled meetings. We actually had to turn away potential meetings and let them know that they just can come over to the booth and meet us if they want to. So this was very successful for us, and it worked very well. And the key takeaway here, by the way, is that being first matters. So the military operation that we had before, where we were able to send out those emails in 24 hours, made a lot of difference. We actually met with one of the people that we set up meetings with socially at the show. And they told Netta, they told her, you were the first to approach me. So yeah, I responded. I don't, you know, since then I've received a ton of other emails that I just didn't respond to. So, you know, this is a very fun thing to do. It's very stressful, but you can get very nice results with it. So that's the trade show. Netta, do you want to talk about the marketing machine?